Hi, I'm Random Trashy and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to give you a review of the TRMR from Concept Tactical. These are available over at JD Airsoft. So a massive thanks to those guys for sending this out to me. It was quite a while ago now. As you can see, I've got the limited edition Joker version here, and with Suicide Squad just around the corner, I thought it'd be a great time to review this. Now, this does come in a really nice resealable package, so if you do like putting this away after every event, just to make sure that it's nice and safe, you can reuse this nice little packaging. Really cool little unit. Also, you've got all of your instructions in there, and you've got information on the extras and the other bits that you can get from this. You can put a multi-shot base on this as well, which allows you to have a dial on the front, but I've got the single shot version here, and I like this just because it's nice and compact, fits really well in a 40 mic pouch, and also brings that weight down as well. So I will just open this up, allow you to guys to have a look at it. I will throw some photos up now, just so you can see some of the closer detail on the item. It works really well. I think that's one of the key things about this. They are quite expensive. Depends on how much pyro you use as well as to whether you can sort of justify these. These are about £90 plus. You know, when you've got the delivery and you've bought yourself some ammunition for this as well, it's probably going to push it to £100. I use paper pyro. I'm a massive fan of paper pyro, especially in a lot of the woodland games that I do. But if you are going, door kicking in an urban environment, or you're going to be storming buildings, these things are absolutely vital, and they will save you a ton of money. It's very easy to throw 4 or 5 sticks of pyro into a building if you are continually clearing buildings for an afternoon, especially at sites like Cope Hill, Stanta. Then it does mean that you can burn through that. You can buy 100 of these small primers. So I'm just going to show you one of these smaller kind of like cheddar type primers, and I think it's about £7. So really cheap for 100 shots of these. You can also use the 9mm blanks in these. So I've got one of these here as well, and you can also use the 12 gauge blanks in these as well, and this is a 12 gauge mag flash. One thing I will say about using this and using these types of pyro as well is just be aware of who else is on site and what the kind of level of player is around you, or the type of equipment that the players have around you. At Milsim, where it's advised that everyone wears ear protection, using the 9mm, they are extremely loud. Using the 12 gauges are very loud, and obviously a very bright white flash. A lot of sites won't allow you to use them, but the 9mm still are very loud, especially if you are in a big concrete building like you have at Catterick. That echoing, the resonance of the sound can actually really hurt your ears. So just make sure that if you are throwing these around, be sensible. And if it's got a building full of young players with no ear pro in, don't throw a 12 gauge in there. It is going to hurt their hearing, potentially damage their ears. So I do actually like the small primer types. These are like shotgun primers essentially. They're very small, they're easy to change, they're cheap. That's some of the key things about them. They're not massively loud, they're loud enough to give someone a scare if these are thrown outside the door. I was down at UCAP at the sandpit recently. We had locked down the hangar in the middle of the building. I was actually standing on the edge of a wall. We heard some players begin to stack up outside as they were about to breach, and I threw this out down at their feet, took the team out. We went out there, cleared the area, I brought it back in, reloaded it. The guys had obviously regened, come to stack up again, and got the guys again. So it was a real nice touch, and it just shows where one of these is very handy to have. This is inertia fired, so what you do by removing the safe, I'll put a picture up now, you can see the writing of the safe just in the band there. You give it a twist, essentially revealing the pin, allowing the movement for the firing pin at the top. I will just quickly open this up actually before we go into this detail, just to show to you that it is empty, just so there's no kind of accidental discharge to this. So I'm just going to close this up again now. Very easy. The threads are nice and big, so even in a panic it's very easy to reload. So you can see that firing pin at the top, and what we do is just as it falls down, you can just probably hear that pin moving down. The pin moves down and actually strikes the back of the firing area. Means it's very reliable. Now, I've heard lots about inertia grenades from different brands, but what I can definitely say about this 100% is every time I've thrown it, it's gone off. Even in wet, boggy ground. I actually was throwing this around at the Apocalypse Milsim a few weekends ago, and we were testing it on all different types of grounds. The hard mud is going to go off every single time. Even the boggy sort of wet ground that kind of swallows the front of your boot as you're walking, threw it in there as well, and it still went off. So it's a very reliable device to have on you. The only downside of this is just the weight. but that comes with the quality. This is a solid CNC machined, you know, it's going to last you for an absolute eternity piece of kit. So you can't have something that's going to last forever that doesn't weigh anything, you know, out of lighter, cheaper materials. So the only drawback on this is the weight. I definitely wouldn't want to carry 5 of these around my waist. That is absolutely for certain. But one of these that gets you out of the mud, or, you know, gets you out of the trouble when you are through clearing buildings, you know, everyone's stacked through, they've used their pyro, you know, you're potentially not allowed to use paper pyro, there's restrictions on it or whatever. Something like this is absolutely perfect, and it works out incredibly cheap if you are going to use it a lot over a long period of time. As I say, I've thrown this about a hell of a lot. There is very, very minimal marks on it. You know, there is really no damage done to this at all, and with the price of these small primers being so cheap, you know, 100 for £7 or £8, you can shop around, you might get them a little bit cheaper, but that's what I've seen these for. It's an absolute bargain and a very nice piece of kit. I quite like the bright colours on this. A lot of the guys that I rock with who have one of these have sprayed them black or tan, or, you know, like to fall in with the rest of their kit. The problem is with that, if you throw them into a dark room, into a building, or out in the woods or whatever, it's going to be quite difficult to find. Whereas every time I seem to throw this, people either say about the bright colours or the pinkness of it, but it is always easy to find, so that is really handy. Just going to show you guys very briefly how you would swap between different types of ammo for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the base off, and that is really the heaviest part. I've got a just a bent over piece of pin here, and this is what I use just for removing this bottom base. So as normal, you would use this for you know, the smaller cheddar type primer, and if you wanted to, for example, swap over to a different type of insert, I'm just going to push this base out. Can be a little bit stiff, especially if you've used it a lot. They do sort of get clogged up a little bit with all of the soot and dirt that comes from firing these off a lot, so they can be a little bit fiddly, but I'm just pushing this base out. It's nearly out. Just give that a bit of a push through. There we go. And as you can see, that bottom base has now come out of there. So as you can see, one side you've got the smaller hole, and then on top of there you've got the 9mm hole. So if you wanted to use your 9mm blank, you just sit it in there like so. And then if you wanted to use the 12 gauge mag flash, you can just sit that in there like so, and you see it all fits in there perfectly. Very easy to change. So if you wanted to swap that out, if that one was used, you would just tip it out like so, put the new one in, screw it together, and that's ready to go. So they are extremely quick to reload. Just going to put back to the normal setting that I have in there. So I'm just going to put that smaller insert back in. So for example, if we'd, you know, taken that apart, wanted to reload it, we just, you know, slid in the new shotgun primer, screw that down like so, get ready to stick that into a pouch or reuse it, and you are ready to go. So it is a very awesome piece of kit. Again, they are quite expensive, but I think you definitely get that on the reload. You know, you're going to make that money back quite quick if you do tend to throw pyro around a lot, especially if you're at the front of the stack. So yeah, I'm really impressed with it. I think there's not much more to say other than, you know, if you do want something really solid, you want something that is going to, you know, be very quick, very easy to reload. The reloads are cheap, these are super reliable. Definitely head over to JD's Airsoft and pick one of these up, one of the Concept Tacticals TRMRs. If you do have any questions about this, if there's anything that you want to ask, please feel free to drop a comment in the box below. Again, I'll put a link to these over to JD Airsoft in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all soon.